feedback's going to be effective, it has to be both relevant and timely for the customer and for the organisation itself. When we first started Clicktools, we wrote an article called "Why the Annual Do You Love Us Survey Doesn't Work." It was all about, back in those days, surveys were done once a year, and can you imagine trying to think back to an experience you might have had with an organisation which could have been 12 months old? Now organisations have recognised that unless it's timely and relevant, it's not really effective feedback. And of course, 12 months is far too long to wait to act if you've got a dissatisfied customer. So the best organisations now are taking the concept of the customer experience across a customer journey, across a customer life cycle. And what they do is they map out in some detail, in many cases, the interactions that the customer goes through. And that forms the basis, the spine for what a good feedback programme should follow. And at each of those stages, you have to ask yourself 3 or 4 key questions. At this stage, what matters most to my customers? At this stage of the process, at this stage of the customer journey, what's important to the customer? And organisations often struggle with that because they think about their own processes, they think internally, they don't think about what the customer's going through. And part of that is what emotions they're trying to generate in the customer. So once you've got that handle on what matters to the customer, then you can start to say, well, what should I be testing? What should the content of my surveys be? How often should they be issued? What's the trigger for the deployment of those? And how do we collect that? And then, of course, once you've gathered the information, you've only done half the job. The real challenge is sharing that information with the right people that matter across the organisation and acting on it. And we'll talk about that in a later session.